On today's episode of Green with Envy, Greg Manakis here with my guy, Alex Gonzalez. We're going to be talking about Jaylen Brown's knee surgery and what that means for the future of the Boston Celtics. Does it affect his trade value? Was it a well-timed surgery for Jaylen Brown, who does not want to get traded from Boston? And then we're also going to be doing a little trivia, and we're going to take a look at Game 4 of the NBA Finals. With that, you know the deal. Let's lock in. What's good, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Green with Envy, Coffee and Celtics edition, brought to you proudly by Wood Island Media. Shout out to my guy, Steve Yee, doing big things out there in LA. All right. On today's episode, as I said, we are going to be talking about Jaylen Brown's knee surgery. But before we get into all that, I got my man, Alex Gonzalez, with me. Alex, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. A little early this morning, but I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I don't know if you saw, but I went full haircut. I got the fade coming back here. I haven't had my haircut this short since during COVID, when Danielle, who was my girlfriend at the time, was cutting my hair. She's now my fiance. She got that promotion. But yeah, man, it feels weird having my hair short again. Like I felt naked. Like when it first happened, I literally had this like almost I felt emasculated to some degree. But I'm adjusting. I decided to wear the hat today just because, I'm still making that adjustment.
Yeah, I did see that. The haircut looks good. Have you taken a shower yet? That's where you really feel the difference. Like when you have short hair on the side and it just like instantly goes to the skin on your head. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I go to my girl Savannah Doll Lake down here in Austin. She's like a hairstylist. I used to go to a barber, right? When I used to get this haircut like every 2 weeks. But when I decided to grow my hair out, I wanted to have, someone who had a little bit more knowledge of what that process looks like. So I went to Savannah, who's one of my homegirls down here. She's a great singer. Her sister is a big drag queen down here named Bridget Bandit. She's like really into she's like the drag queen down here in Austin, Texas. But she crushes it with the hair. So I went to her to grow my hair out. And then yesterday I showed up and I said, "Hey, Savannah, I kind of just want a sick fade. Like, how are you with the fade?" And she was like, "Dude, I got you." So we did it. We took a video. I took a video of Danielle's reaction to seeing me with short hair, and she was cool with it. And then the biggest thing, my little guy, James, I was a little worried he wouldn't recognize me because he used to love pulling on my hair and stuff. Didn't notice any difference. So we're all good.
That is good. That is good. Yeah, I need a haircut too. I'm in the business for looking for one.
So do you have a go-to barber? Do you have a good relationship with a barber? No? Okay.
I don't. Yeah.
Are you more likely to go to a barbershop or like a salon?
I don't know. My friend recommended me this place, so I might try it out. It's called Supreme Cuts. I don't know. I used to have someone that I would go to here, but I didn't really like the way they did my hair. So then I get it done at school, but I'm not at school anymore. So,
what's the most you would pay for a haircut?
Like $40, probably.
Yeah, the $20 haircut doesn't exist anymore, man.
Yeah,
you can't find it anywhere.
Does not exist. Well, you have to tip, so even if it's 20, it really ends up being 25 or something like that. So.
Right, exactly. Speaking of haircuts, a guy that got a haircut during the season, our guy Jaylen Brown, who had the braids, those like Kawhi Leonard type braids, decided to cut his hair off and then immediately hurt his knee. So I don't know, if that has any correlation. Hopefully I don't have any knee injuries here in the upcoming weeks. But Jaylen Brown underwent successful right knee arthroscopic debridement procedure. The Celtics announced on Wednesday he is expected to participate in training camp. Obviously, that's not until October, and he's not expected to have any limitations. So early in the season, Jaylen, that was called like a bone bruise. It was a knee impingement. And then he received those pain injections in his knee ahead of the playoffs when he just wasn't looking great at the end of the regular season. He said that it was something, he was going to have to get fixed in the offseason, and he was going to try and figure out a way to be effective without it. He ended up missing 11 games during the 24-25 season with that specific injury. I'm a little concerned about this knee surgery just because the arthroscopic knee surgery, although common, is the same surgery that Robert Williams got. It's the same surgery that Lonzo Ball got. Those two names don't exactly scream like knee health. So, Alex, when you heard the news that Jaylen was undergoing surgery, what were your initial thoughts? And after I just named two players, Lonzo Ball and Robert Williams, what are your thoughts now?
I thought it was pretty normal, although it was kind of weird. I thought, like, if he was going to get surgery, why wouldn't he get it done, like, pretty close to after the season's over? Maybe he was checking with other people to see what the best route was, but I thought it was fine. And then I read that he'd be back in full swing for training camp, so that was good. But yeah, all surgeries have some sort of negative output. And I'm sure you can look at pretty much any surgery, and it's gone bad for someone. So I hope he gets a speedy recovery and he returns to the same form that he has. I know Lonzo Ball, what was he at, like 3 years because he couldn't play. And then Robert Williams obviously always had injury problems. So, it does definitely worry me that it's the same surgery that both those players got. But I believe Jaylen will make a full recovery for training camp.
Definitely, I agree. So for those people that are out there wondering what injuries require this arthroscopic debridement knee surgery. So I just did a little Google search, and I actually found this from The Athletic, the New York Times, back when Lonzo was like in the middle of all of his surgeries, because he had the surgery multiple times. So here's the description of an arthroscopic debridement knee surgery. So this is a minimally invasive procedure that removes broken down cartilage, tissue, or bone. During a debridement, the areas of the joint that are roughed up get smoothed out, removing the damaged piece, so there is a regrowth of healthy tissue. One example is the meniscectomy. I don't know if I'm saying that right, which is what Jaylen had and what Lonzo had twice. So in this case, the piece of the meniscus that is torn is trimmed instead of repaired. So they cut a little piece of it out. This comes with a quick recovery, but then the joint is left with a little less cushion as the meniscus serves as a shock absorber. Another common debridement procedure is the removal of a loose body. So I'm actually not sure if he got the meniscectomy or if he just had things, kind of smoothed out. So the typical timeline for this is 4 to 6 weeks, which I think lines up with what Jaylen's recovery timeline is. So prayers to JB. He posted a picture of him in the hospital. Alex, I'm not sure if you can pull that up here as we're kind of talking about it, so we can see the fresh cut, and we can also see, another of the Celtic superstars in a hospital gown, which is not exactly the type of off season that we wanted. But this just speaks to, this wasn't the season for the Celtics. Jason Tatum getting the Achilles surgery, Jaylen Brown getting the knee surgery. It just wasn't meant to be. But shout out to those guys, and shout out to Jaylen for continuing to push 741 performance with the pop-ups in the rain, meet and greeting with all the fans, taking pictures, making everybody feel heard and seen. And Jaylen is saying to everybody in the Celtics organization, you ain't trading my ass. And there was something that came out. Kevin O'Connor was reporting. So obviously Kevin O'Connor used to be of The Ringer. Now he's with Yahoo Sports, used to be with Celtics blog back in his early days. He said that the Celtics have already fielded calls from teams interested in Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Boston is listening to trade offers for everybody on its roster with the exception of Jason Tatum. So this is directly from Kevin O'Connor. Besides Tatum, the Celtics are at least listening to offers for everybody out there, whether it's Derek White or Jaylen Brown. And KOC said this on NBC Sports Boston's The Off-Season Special, hosted by Drew Carter, along with Chris Forsberg, and they have Scal call into that show as well. Shams said, big offers have been made for those guys. Interesting that people have already made offers. How can you not listen? Now, as Sham said, and I've heard as well, I don't think Boston wants to trade Jaylen Brown or wants to trade Derek White. They want to go the Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Sam Hauser route for getting under the second apron. Ultimately, they want to avoid Brown or White trades. That's what's going around the NBA. That's what everyone's talking about. But teams are making offers, so you have to at least listen. If somebody comes over the top with some absurd offer on draft night or the day before the draft, maybe that's the route that makes more sense for you. If you go, it seems too good to be true, then it's actually an offer being made to you. So I'm not sure if you had seen all this stuff, Alex. What are your thoughts on people already seemingly having made offers on Jaylen Brown and Derek White?
Yeah, I read that yesterday. I think it's interesting. I think if you're another team, why not take a shot at trying to trade for JB or Derek White? I mean, the Lakers took a shot at Luka or whatever. Actually, the Mavericks came to the Lakers, but then they were able to get Luka. So I feel like if you're another team, and obviously those are two incredible players, and if they're fielding calls for them, maybe if you surprise them with a good offer, then they could be traded. I don't want to see them traded personally. It doesn't really seem like anyone on the Celtics organization does, but I think they're just listening. And then if they get like a crazy offer or something, maybe they'll accept it. But I don't know.
Yeah, we got a comment here from Rob version 1. Shout out to Rob, always tuning into the show, echoing a lot of what Alex just said. They are listening, but also rebuffing JB and D White offers. This tells me they are practically untouchable unless a Godfather offer comes along. Yeah, and that's great to hear, right? And Scal even said this on the offseason podcast the other day, where he said there's no way in hell that Derek White is getting traded this offseason. So that feels good as a Celtics fan who really doesn't want to go the blow it up route and tank for AJ Devonta and all that stuff, because we do own our pick next year. Jason Tatum obviously going to be out. I don't want to see the full blow it up. I've been saying that since Jason Tatum hurt his Achilles. I want next season to be the Jaylen Brown number 1 option season, Derek White, the number 2 guy, and just see what happens with that team. You know, Peyton Pritchard in the starting lineup. That's a nice three-piece right there to start your season. All those guys can, dribble, pass, and shoot, and all those guys can defend. So I think that at least sets you up for, a nice little foundation there. And then you got to fill out, the rest of the spots. Maybe we get some Baylor Shireman, we get some Jordan Walsh, we get Neemias Queta. Porzingis, we'll see if he's in the starting lineup or if he gets traded for a lesser piece. Maybe with the Celtics draft pick this year, maybe there's a trade that happens where we get another draft pick and we try and go with a little youth movement for another big. And maybe we can convince an Al Horford or convince a Luke Cornett to hold off on signing with anybody until we figure out all of the different options that we have out there. So maybe we're able to bring back them without any tax implications or anything like that. So that would be my preferred route. And it's really good to hear that from KOC, from Shams, that the Celtics are already rebuffed all these offers for Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Any other thoughts on these guys before we move on to the next thing on the agenda?
I had a thought, but then I just forgot it.
Hey, man. Alex, this is called Coffee and Celtics. Are you drinking coffee this morning?
I'm not. I'm actually not a coffee drinker.
That's crazy. Do you drink tea?
No.
Do you drink any caffeinated beverages?
Yeah, I drink like a energy drink before I go to the gym. But other than that, no.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have to figure out a way to get you drinking some coffee. So tell me, when you were studying in college, how did you stay away? Like the only way I was able to study during college was hitting up one of my buddies that maybe had a prescription or drink, or just like I don't even know, like going to the gym and then going directly to the library afterwards. But like, how did you study in college?
When I really had to like get down and study, it didn't really matter what time of the day it was. I'd just go and do it. Like for like some of my stat classes, I basically wait till like the second to last day or last day just to cram in all the studying. I think I studied a couple times for like 6 hours at a time for a stat test, and then I'd go in and I'd get like a really high A, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, and then I'll do it again for the next test. So I didn't really need like any caffeine or anything like that. I kind of sometimes when I realize I have to do something, I can just like do it and I just get it over with.
That's a good quality to have. Yeah, I actually didn't start drinking coffee until I became a teacher. So when I was getting up at 5 a.m. and then going and dealing
Mm.
with all these crazy kids, I don't think I drank a cup of coffee until I was like 24 years old. So maybe it'll be something that happens for you in the future. I would avoid it as long as possible because it's definitely addictive. All
Okay.
right. So let's go to. Do you want to do the trivia now, or do you want to talk NBA Finals Game 4?
Let's talk finals game 4, then we'll do the trivia after.
Okay, cool. Game 3. Give me your thoughts on Game 3 before we talk Game 4.
Well, I mean, game 3 was more of like a back and forth game. It wasn't like the Thunder dominated the whole time and the Pacers came back, or Thunder just dominated the whole time. It was kind of like up and down a little bit. I think the impact of both Benedict Mathurin, who was fantastic on offense, and then TJ McConnell and his constant disability to be a pest are just like they make the Pacers hard to beat. Like when you have players that can come off the bench and drop 27, or someone that just picks up full court every play and basically seems like they're not losing any energies. Sometimes it's hard. Like when Halliburton goes out, maybe if you're the Thunder, like, oh, finally, their best players off the court. But then here in comes TJ McConnell, who just makes your life a living hell for the 6 to 8 minutes that he's in the game, and then he just goes back on the bench. And it's pretty incredible. I really like the Pacers are up 2-1.
Yeah, it's great. I've actually predicted this series perfectly so far, and my prediction moving forward is that the Thunder win out and they end up winning this series in 6. Although seeing the Pacers win the way they did in Game 3 had me just believing. I thought that this would happen, that the Pacers would get up, and the Thunder would, figure out a way to win Game 4, win Game 5, and then all the pressures on the Pacers Game 6. And I think the Thunder can close it out in 6. But if this series ends up going 7, man, I don't think anybody out there is going to be complaining. I think the longer this series goes, the more people will be tuning in as everyone's telling them like, hey, this series is fucking awesome basketball. Like, stop worrying about the fact that there's no quote unquote superstars or celebrity basketball players in here, guys that you've known for years. This is just great basketball. And if you're complaining about what the NBA product has become over the years, like, just tune in, because they're not giving SGA his bullshit flopping. They're making him play through contact. All these guys that are playing are just fun to watch. And it's literally 94 feet the whole game.
Yeah.
Both teams are pressuring the ball 94 feet. How cool is that? We're not seeing any of this slow it down bullshit. It's great defense, and both teams are really working hard to pick up full court and also get back in transition, right? The fact that both of these teams are able to get back in transition and play good transition defense just shows how much both of these teams really want it. I think, when you think of Game 3 and you think of this series, you mentioned the role players that have played so well: Obi Toppin, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell for the Pacers, and then you got guys like Alex Caruso for the Thunder, right? Aaron Wiggins had his game. Lou Dort has had his moments. I have a question for you, because I was debating this with some of my Pacers buddies. Who do you think is a more impactful player? Not better player, more impactful player: TJ McConnell or Alex Caruso?
TJ McConnell. You feel his presence when he's on the court, even though he's he's a rotation player. Like, when he's on the court, I feel like their offense is just different. He doesn't really pass the ball like Tyrese, but his ability to like dribble, bob and weave, and then eventually, like, when there's no other option, he'll just 180 turn around and make the weirdest fadeaway mid-range you've ever seen in your entire life. I feel like he's definitely a more impactful player than Caruso. Caruso's a great defender, but I think McConnell makes more of an impact than he does.
Yeah, I've been a big Caruso guy. My, his whole career. I loved him on the Lakers. I thought the Celtics should have traded Peyton Pritchard for him last year, just to get a guy that can be out there in a Game 7. And I think that his defense is just something special, as you saw him pick Tyrese Halliburton clean in the fourth quarter as the game was slipping away there. And then Nesmith doing crash Nesmith things, just takes him down. Love the fact that they didn't call that a flagrant foul, by the way. But I personally, I think Caruso's the better player. I think he's the more impactful player. He's like 6'5", 6'6", top 5 wing defender in the
Yeah.
league. And, he just does everything he does on the court is additive. But I can't argue with the McConnell piece. Like, I didn't think he would get to this level. I didn't think the longer this series went, I thought the less and less we'd see of TJ McConnell. But and then game 3 comes out and has his best game of the series. I would imagine the Thunder, try and figure out a way to slow him down and decrease his impact on the court. But those role players, man, when they play at home games, I know I'm not saying anything original, but they really do figure out a way to step up. And TJ McConnell, my favorite thing that he does when he's coming down the court full speed and he's going like dribble handoff, like pistol action on the sideline in transition. And he just like pauses for a second. He hesitates like he's about to go dribble handoff, and he just goes hard push cross over the top into the middle. He's just like so sneaky with the ways that he's able to get to his spots. And then he uses every inch of whatever his standing reach is. When he goes up for that mid range, it's just like straight as an arrow. And he's, fully extended over his head. And it's just a wrist follow through there because he's so short on the court. But I love TJ McConnell. Are there any other role players looking ahead to game 4 that you're keeping your eye on?
I'm Benedict Mathurin. Obviously, he had a really good game this game, but he only played 22 minutes, had 27 points. I feel like if he can put up like 15 off the bench, the Pacers have a pretty good shot of winning the game. It's just his offense is more like wishy-washy than McConnell's impact on the game overall. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Him and then maybe Toppin a little bit. For the
Toppin's been
Thunder,
great.
yeah, he has. For the Thunder, I don't know. They've switched up their lineup a little bit, going with different guys. I feel like Kason Wallace has to be a little bit better for them. I remember like in game 1 or whatever, he like on minus 20 or whatever, plus minus, and they only lost by like 2. I'm not sure if that has continued throughout the series, but if he's going to be in the starting lineup or play 20 plus minutes, he probably has to impact the game a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of trust in him being a second-year player, and they say, you know what, NBA Finals, we think you're good enough to be in our starting lineup. That's a lot of pressure on a young kid who
Yeah.
has no experience, right? So I would imagine if there's any adjustment in game 4, he's got to come off the bench again. Those rotations are going to shrink probably pretty severely in a must-win game. If I'm the Thunder, I'm going back to that double big lineup to start just to see if that changes anything there. But then, to your point about Mathurin, he had such a good game 3. And what I love about Mathurin is he's so confident on the court, right? And he looks at Jaylen Williams and he's like, dude, you're not better than me. Like, I can guard you straight up. You can't guard me straight up. Anytime, you're in front of me, I'm going to attack you. You're seen as this like elite defender. Not for me, bro. Like, I can get by you anytime I want. I can get my shot off anytime I want. The only guy he doesn't seem to want to attack is Lou Dort, because nobody wants to attack Lou Dort. That dude is just like a fucking tank. So I think J-Dub, he's one of those guys for the Thunder. I think he had his moments, but he doesn't feel like worlds above anybody else. Like, he hasn't made that leap that I think the Thunder need him to make. And then SGA has kind of played like, he's been good, but he hasn't necessarily been like super efficient. Like game 1 and game 3, he took a ton of shots. The Pacers have a way, because they just guard you straight up and they switch everything. They have a way of just like goading you into playing isolation basketball. And SGA, you would think that's kind of his sweet spot, but the moment he decks the ball, there are multiple bodies there. And they're giving him the royal treatment in terms of help defense. So I think if I had to pick one guy that like a role player that I'm expecting more from in game 4, I'm going to go Hartenstein, because he hasn't had any impact on this series. And I think he could. I think he really could. But I think it comes with Mark Daigneault putting the belief in him and saying, Isaiah, like, you're going to be in our starting lineup again. This is our best lineup. Like, Kason's going to come off the bench. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Any other final thoughts on game 4 before we head into trivia?
I'm excited that we're getting at least 6 games. A lot of people didn't think we'd get here, so I'm
Not this
excited.
guy. Not
We'll
this
get
guy.
3 more games of basketball at least. So
Yeah, and it's exciting that between game 3 and game 4, we didn't have 3 days off. So the game is tonight, which I'm pumped for. Definitely going to be tuning in to watch that one. All right, Alex, you said you had some trivia for me, so I'm ready. I have no idea what we're about to do, but I'm excited for it.
Okay. All right. Well, the first list I have doesn't have I made a graphic for the second one. I didn't make a graphic for this one.
Okay.
This is a top 10 ball handlers of all time list made by someone called Basket News. So it was not made by me, and they have some interesting calls. Basically, I'll give you 5 lives, and you have to guess who's on the list. If you guess correctly, I'll tell you where they are. And if you guess wrong, then you have 4 more lives or whatever.
Okay, I have 5
you run out of
lives,
lives, and I'll fill in the rest of the list for you.
Okay, cool. Do I get to ask any questions, or I just got to guess names?
No, questions, just names.
Okay.
Just guess names. I feel like you'll get the first couple, and then you'll go from there.
Okay. Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete is not on there.
Damn. Okay. Bob Cousy
is also not on there.
0 for 2. Okay, so I guess there's more like recent ball handlers. Kyrie Irving.
Yep, number 1.
Okay, Steph Curry.
Not on there.
Not on the list. Oh my
He's
God,
not
I'm
on
down.
the list.
Sheesh. Now I'm worried. Okay.
There's only one player from the 80s, I believe, on there. And
okay. Allen Iverson.
Yep, number 2.
Sheesh, man! I thought Pistol Pete, Bob Cousy, and
I know,
and Steph were definitely on there. Okay, so I've got Kyrie and I've got AI.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 8 more.
Yeah, there's 8 more.
Oh shit. Okay. Rod Strickland.
No Rod Strickland.
Damn.
Think more current. I think there's one from the 80s, one from the 90s.
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas is number 7 on the list.
Okay, Isaiah Thomas.
And the rest are either early 2000s to now, or they're still currently playing.
Oh shit. Okay. This ball. How is Steph not on this list?
I don't know. That was an interesting one.
Would you? Are they like more street ball handles?
Some of them are for sure.
Okay, Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, so he's on there. He's number 4. But there's also
I've got 4. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you have. I'm gonna check how many people are retired. You have the 4 out of the last 6 are retired, but they're more like recent retirees, I guess.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash is one. Yeah, number 6.
Can you tell me? So, can you recap who I have so far and where they are on the list?
You have Kyrie Irving 1, Allen Iverson 2, Jamal Crawford 4, Steve Nash 6, and Isaiah Thomas 7. You have 3, 5, 8, 9, 10 left.
3, 5, 8, 9, 10 left. Who would be number 3? Is number 3 retired or current?
He is still currently playing. Same with number 5.
Is this obvious? Should I know this?
Yeah, I'd say you'd probably be upset if you didn't get it. For the at least
they're all point guards.
Yes, they're all point guards.
Okay. Shit. I'm definitely blanking right now. Is Dame on the list?
He is not on the list.
Okay, yeah, they shouldn't be on the list. That doesn't count as one of my lives because I said it so dismissively. God.
Number 5 was okay, I'll tell you that 3 plays for the Spurs, 5 plays for the Clippers.
Okay, Tony Parker.
No, currently, not right now. I mean, not
De'Aaron
Fox? Not De'Aaron Fox.
Chris Paul.
Yeah, Chris Paul, number 3.
Yeah, that should have been obvious. I should have known that one. And then plays for the Clippers now. James Harden.
Yep, James Harden is 5.
Okay. All right, so we have
8, 9, 10.
8, 9, 10. And they're all current?
I believe all three of these guys are retired. I don't think these are tougher. I don't know if you'll be able to get them.
Okay, I'm going to go. This is probably where I lose. Nick Van Exel.
No, not Van
This
Exel.
list sucks. They don't have Rod Strickland. They don't have Steph Curry. They don't have Nick Van Exel. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, number 8 was. Do you want me to tell you, or do you want?
Yeah, just tell me. Just tell me. I'm failing.
Number 8 was Derrick Rose.
Okay.
Number 9 was Jason Williams, and number 10 was Tim Hardaway.
Okay. Yeah, Jason Williams and Tim Hardaway. I'm cool with that. D Rose. I don't know.
Yeah,
he had moves. I don't know that he had like handles, but okay, cool. So can you recap that list for me?
Yeah. So number 1, Kyrie Irving. Number 2, Allen Iverson. Number 3, Chris Paul. Number 4, Jamal Crawford. Number 5, James Harden. Number 6, Steve Nash. Number 7, Isaiah Thomas. 8, Derrick Rose. 9, Jason Williams. 10, Tim Hardaway.
Okay, I love it. I love it. I failed miserably, but we're doing this live.
All right, here we go. Now this one I made a little graphic for, so
Sweet.
it might be
This will help me
easier
out a
for
little
you
bit.
to.
Yes, I hope
visualize.
so.
Okay, so this is who has the most, they're not playoff wins. Who's played the most playoff games since 2015?
Individual players.
Individual players. So this, the team is either, if they're a retired player, the team is the team they have the most games played with, and if they're a current player, it's just their team. So,
Okay.
Say,
number one,
yeah,
I'm gonna go Draymond Green.
Yes, number 1 is Draymond Green. That is correct.
Number 2, how many? I can't see that. Is that 149?
Yeah, 149.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, so can you repeat the rule?
It's just the most games played with that team if they're a retired player. But if they're a current player, it's the team that they're currently on.
Okay, so for example, 149 means since 2015, this person has played 149 games with the Boston Celtics in the playoffs.
No, it's they've played. It's either they've played that many games and they're currently on the Celtics, or they played that many games and the Celtics are the team that they had their most games played with, and they're retired.
Gotcha. So that's Al Horford.
Yeah, Al Horford's 2.
Okay. Number 3, Dallas Mavericks. Is this person currently on the Mavs?
Yes, currently on the Mavs.
Kyrie.
It is not Kyrie Irving.
Anthony Davis.
Not Anthony Davis.
Shit. All right, I'll come back to that. Number 4, Steph Curry.
Yep.
Number 5, let's go with Tatum.
Tatum is number 8, not number 5.
So that's Jaylen.
Jaylen's number 5. Yep.
Okay. So Jaylen, Tatum, LeBron.
LeBron is number 6.
Okay. Number 7, Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler is number 11, not number 7.
Number 11. Okay. Let's see. So is Clay on this list? Is Clay number 3?
Clay is number 3.
Okay. Love it. I'll come back to that one. Number 9. That's Clippers. Okay, so that's James Harden.
Yep, James Harden is number 9.
Okay, number 10. So this means currently on the Raptors?
This player was under contract last season, but they are currently a undrafted. They're a free agent right now. So I picked the team that they had the most playoff wins on. They were not on the Raptors last year.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to that one. Number 11. That's Jimmy Butler. You said
Jimmy. Yep.
12. I'm assuming this is KD.
12 is not KD. 12 and 14, 15 are going to be pretty hard.
Interesting. That's not KD. So this person's on the Suns?
No, this person is retired. Most playoff games in their career were played on the Suns.
This person is retired. 2015. I got to come back to that. Number 12, Washington. Oh boy, this is tough. So this is since 2015, my guy
Yeah.
Jay in the chat. Most playoff wins. Oh, most playoff wins too.
No, games. Not
Okay,
wins. Not
most playoff
that.
games.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit. All right, I think I'm crashing out here, but maybe there's no way like Andrew Wiggins is on this list, is he?
Andrew Wiggins is not on the
Okay.
list.
All right. I'm done.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was pretty good. 7 was Andre Iguodala with 129 games played. He's retired with the most playoff games played on the Warriors. So
Okay.
number 12 was actually Jay Crowder. That is most
Ooh.
playoff games played on the Suns.
Okay.
You're going to be mad about this one. Number 12 was also Marcus Smart on the Wizards.
Ah,
Yeah.
dumbass. Yeah, I should have got that.
Number 14, Danny Green, most playoff games played on the Spurs. And then number 14 again, tied with him, Tristan Thompson, who's currently on the Caps. So,
Damn. Yeah, I mean it's really hard like going back all the way to 2015 just to think about like Iggy. He seems like he played so long ago.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And like obviously that was when the Warriors were kind of going through their run, but that seems closer than what I had in my head for some reason. And the COVID split, like how everything is now defined by pre-COVID, post-COVID, it's kind of like scrambling my brains a little bit there. And like
Yeah.
for me, my formative years watching basketball were in the, early to mid 2000s. So like that's still such a, when I think of basketball, I still kind of think of that era. So the 2011 to 2019 era, so Heatles, Spurs, Warriors, that's basically, the teams that were relevant, and the Cavs when LeBron went back to the Cavs. So I should have known that. And I should have known Marcus Smart. Sorry, Marcus. That was an easy one. I'm pretty happy that I got Al Horford.
Yeah. He's number 2. He almost is number
Yeah.
1.
That I called that
Then
number 2.
JB passed LeBron during this playoff run.
Wow.
But yeah, I'll make another one for whenever. And we'll
How'd
figure
I
it out.
do?
That was pretty fun.
How'd that work as a breakout clip?
And I did good. I
am I
think
gonna
that
get
was easy.
roasted?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. We'll have to see. Have to see. Maybe not as bad as the trade. I don't know. People did not like the trade.
Dude, how is Pistol Pete and Bob Cousy not on that?
I don't know. I don't know. There was no one on that list from like I think the latest was Isaiah Thomas. I don't know.
Yeah.
And no Curry either, but Derrick Rose.
Yeah, that's
Interesting
crazy.
list.
That's definitely crazy. Okay, man. Well, this was fun. Another episode of Coffee and Celtics. You got anything else you want to talk about before we close up shop here?
No, I got nothing to talk about. Just excited for game 4 and excited to not have work today.
Good for you, man. I actually gotta get my ass to work, so we're gonna close up shop here. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Will and I should be back with an episode early next week, and then I think we'll be good for Coffee and C's next week. Will you be good for Coffee and C's next week?
No, I'm actually going to be in Italy.
Oh, sick, dude. Why are you going to Italy?
My sister's doing study abroad, so we're going to visit her at the tail end of that, and then we're going to stay there until the 30th of June. Actually.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, maybe the whole pod will, we'll take a little hiatus. Who knows? But it's been good talking to you, my guy Alex. Thanks for joining me here on this episode of Coffee and Celtics, brought to you proudly by Wood Island Media. Will and I will be back early next week with another episode of Green with Envy. Go Pacers.